Hello and welcome to this overview video to For Honor. For Honor came as a surprise on last year's E3, a third-person melee combat game by Ubisoft Montreal. Set in a fictional world where samurai, knights and vikings are fighting each other, the game still remains down to earth. No dragons, no orcs, just a crazy scenario but with quite real-looking characters and locations. Its main thing is its fighting system, which the devs even gave a name to, the Art of Battle. For Honor is supposed to offer a single-player campaign as well as a multiplayer mode, both apparently being equally important. So let's get right into the stuff. Number 1. The world of For Honor. In this so far unnamed world a huge catastrophe happened. Earthquakes, tsunamis and droughts destroyed the lands of the three powerful civilizations, the knights, the samurai and the vikings. All of them are thrown into something like a dark age, and for about 1,000 years they all struggle for survival, rebuild their civilizations and fight back neighboring rivals. Now, after 1 millennium, they are all ready to wage war on a large scale again, though it seems like there are also attempts to negotiate between the factions, judging by this scene in the trailer. However, this will not do for the great warlord Apollyon. Following her own worldview, which sees law and order as unnatural, cause the weak ones are protected or even placed on the same level as the strong ones, she's doing all she can to shape the world the way she wants. As can be seen in the trailer, she also actively prevents all attempts of peace between the other three factions. Most of the story will probably be explored in the single-player campaign, though it remains to be seen if Apollyon's forces are also playing a role in the multiplayer part. For now though, only 3 factions are introduced and confirmed for playing. The first ones being the Knights. Mostly united under the banner of the Iron Legion after the mentioned cataclysm, they are seeing themselves as the successors to the people who used to live in the ruins which scatter the land, considering it their homeland. This fragile situation of order seems to be threatened, however, by local warlords who also create their own legions, challenging the established system. The Vikings, on the other hand, have returned to this land from somewhere across the sea after some time of absence to now plunder, fight, and claim some of the land in the north for themselves. They live for the fight, but are divided in several warbands. When united, however, they become a terrifying force of nature. This great landing operation here, in my opinion, perfectly portrays this. Finally, there are the samurai who are currently trying to defend their fortress. Originally not from this land, they lost their home and their emperor during the cataclysm, though built up a new empire in these foreign lands. They are surrounded by enemies and outnumbered, and even though they rose to a powerful civilization once again, they still feel like they are exiled here and focus on quality and skill over quantity due to their low numbers. At least that's what the description says, because if they're throwing away lives like they do right here, they won't need to worry about being outnumbered much longer. Since the gameplay is already running in the background, let's go to number 3, the single player part. For Honor will offer one campaign for each faction, telling a continuous story. Following the dev's statement, the Knight campaign will lead to the events of the Viking, which in return will lead to the events of the Samurai campaign. In each of them you take the role of an unnamed hero. The Warden, a young knight wandering the land in search for a purpose, the Raider, a battle-thirsty warrior who united several Viking tribes for a common goal, and the Kensei, a former military commander who got exiled and is now trying to restore his old position at the Imperial Court. Judging by the new gameplay from the Knight campaign, you can play as male or female character and can also choose your loadout to a certain extent. The devs have also mentioned some kind of progression system, meaning you will find increasingly more powerful items and parts to boost your character's combat ability. Also worthy of note is the fact that you can play all campaigns in co-op with a friend, either online or in split screen, though the latter will be a console-only option. Judging by the 2 missions we were shown so far, it seems like Ubisoft Montreal actually put some effort into the story campaign, making it not just a couple of multiplayer battles with bots instead of players. There are scripted events, cinematics and boss fights which look really cool. On the other hand though, both gameplay videos showed a pretty linear path for you to take, the game clearly directing where to go, limiting your freedom of choice. Overall, the campaigns can probably be used as a good way to get used to the mechanics and the different factions, like a preparation for the multiplayer part. The devs also stated that the story of the single player will work as a background for the events of the multiplayer. Therefore, it remains to be seen if the PvP is more than just random battles and actually offers some kind of story and extension of the campaigns basically. Therefore, number 4, the multiplayer. Surprisingly, there aren't that many info about the multiplayer part yet, even though from the original announcement in 2015 it sounded like a game with a focus on PvP. So far confirmed seems to be that you'll be fighting in 4 vs 4 battles with a bunch of bots working as cannon fodder for points and to create a real battlefield atmosphere. The single player showed different NPC types, lighter and heavier ones for example. We will see if the multiplayer will offer something similar. In all so far shown gameplay, the bots didn't look very dangerous though, usually not even attacking the player at all or only in groups of 2 with the rest waiting around. There's only one gameplay video about the multiplayer so far, which made the bots appear to work similar as on for example a MOBA. They come in waves, can't really do stuff on their own, but can be annoying to enemies when swarming the field from time to time. You will of course be able to customize your character in regards to his or her armor, decals, weapon loadout, etc., but so far there are not many info or even gameplay about it. There's also no confirmation regarding something like an unlock system, but I'd say it's very probable. The creative director already confirmed weapon customization via a loot system, meaning you can improve or simply change the stats by, for example, using a different hilt, a longer blade or similar stuff. Certain weapons are apparently bound to specific multiplayer characters, which seems to mean that you can choose between different classes who prefer certain weapon types, maybe similar to how it was for example in Chivalry. Continuing with the sparse info, the only game mode shown so far is about capturing points on the map, with also only this one map, a Castle of the Knights, shown as a battlefield. I personally really hope for some kind of objective-based multiplayer mode with story-linked missions, based on the developer's statement regarding a single-player story working as a background for the multiplayer. My point number 5 will of course be the fighting system, called the Art of Battle. In its core it's a 3-way attack and block system. For Honor allows you to attack from 3 different directions. If you match a direction, called the stance, of the enemy, you block his attack. You therefore need to keep an eye on your opponent's movement to figure out from which direction he will attack and switch your stance accordingly. Same goes of course if you want to attack the enemy, needing to choose a direction the enemy is currently not blocking. To give you more tactical options, you can use light and heavy attacks and an AoE swing, probably mainly useful against bots. The game also allows parrying, dodging and feints, so letting you cancel moves mid-action to quickly attack from a different direction. Each class also has a special move. In the Viking campaign for example, we can see the raider grabbing enemies and throwing them into spikes or down the wall. As you may have noticed already, For Honor is relatively unbloody. There's not as much gore as you might expect from this kind of game. The developer's explanation for this is that they want the fight itself to be the important part and not flying limbs. A so-called revenge mode can be activated after having blocked enough attacks or taking enough damage. It buffs your defense and damage, making your moves harder to counter. Certain NPCs in single player will also be able to use this ability. On the battlefield you will also find different pickups, called feats, which can be collected and then activated to restore some health, for example. The question remains of course how easy it will be to control all these mechanics in a battle. All gameplay shown so far seem to have been played with a controller, and it seemed to be working quite well. In fact, the devs went quite into detail about this in the Knights gameplay they've shown recently, leaving the only remaining question to be how well will it work on PC with mouse and keyboard, or will PC players need to use a gamepad too if they want to control it properly. So, what kind of stuff is missing? They've so far not shown any part of the Samurai campaign and overall not given any info about the length of the single player part in general, being it the amount of missions or the estimated playtime. Both missions shown were rather short though. For people who prefer solo experiences, this may be an important point. Will a single player just be a lengthened tutorial for the multiplayer part or stand on its own, justifying a purchase at full price? The bot swarms so far didn't seem to be much of a threat, and audio-wise it sometimes seemed to be awfully quiet for a battlefield, no or only a few screams, shouts and weapon sounds etc. in the background. Though, info about the multiplayer is lacking as well. Badly, in fact. What game modes can we expect? Will there be something like a PvP story campaign? And how many and what kind of maps will be available at release? I'd also love to hear more about customization and loadouts. So far we've mostly seen people play with two-handed weapons and only got glimpses on other weapons like a flail or sword and shield combo. For PC players the controls are an important matter, and I really hope the devs will put a lot of effort into a proper PC port, also performance-wise. There also aren't any info regarding the hardware requirements yet. So what's left to say? The game will release on the 14th of February 2017, that's Valentine's Day, on PS4, Xbox One and PC. If you're interested in playing it before that date, you can try your luck by signing up for the alpha. I'll put the link in the description. And, well, you can also already pre-order the game, but seriously just don't. Stop pre-ordering video games, especially at such an early date, with so many info still missing. Don't get me wrong though, I'm really looking forward to this game. The graphics and animations look amazing and I just love this medieval-esque setting, but buying a game with a season pass consisting of not even yet announced content? This aside though, check back again later. I will keep you updated about all news regarding For Honor, and till then, have fun gaming.